Monday, May 13th is now called to order. Mrs. Seaman?
Dr. Sharonica James Humphreys.
Here.
Ms. Powers-Dolmy.
Here.
Ms. Remington.
Is excused for this evening's meeting.
Mr. Tackett.
Here.
Mr. Webster.
Here.
Okay, and if we would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we need a motion to adopt this evening's agenda.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion?
No.
Mrs. Seaman?
Dr. Humphreys.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Yes.
Mr. Webster.
Yes.
Ms. Powers-Dolmy.
Yes. Item 2.1 is guidelines for public participation. And we do have a guest that is signed in, do we not?
Yes.
Okay. The Board of Education recognizes the value to school governance of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. As outlined in Board of Education Bylaw 0169.1, the board shall provide a period for public participation at all regular meetings, and such participation shall be permitted only as indicated on the order of business for that meeting. This typically occurs at 2 points in the agenda. The first opportunity occurs during hearing of the public on agenda items. This portion is designated for comment on specific agenda items under consideration by the Board of Education. The second opportunity occurs during hearing of the public on non-agenda items. This portion is designated for comment on school matters of community interest. Guidelines for public participation include the following. Attendees must register their intention to participate in the public portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 5 minutes duration unless extended by the presiding officer. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. The complete set of rules for public participation is contained in Bylaw 0169.1 and is available at all meetings of the Board of Education. They may also be found online at www.pcls.net. And who is our guest that's?
That Mr. Rick Coleman and Ms. Chelsea Rice.
Okay.
On behalf of the track team, thank you for the opportunity to come out here today to propose our spring break 2020 track trip. We're proposing that the boys and girls track team from Harvey High School be allowed to travel to Orlando, Florida to train at the Wide World of Sports Complex in Kissimmee, Florida. The team will have the opportunity to train at the sports facility up to 2 times per day. They will have the opportunity to compete against Merritt Island High School's track team, which the current principal is an alum of Harvey High School, Jimmy Raymer. They'll also have the ability to participate in a speed and agility clinic that will be put on by ESPN, Wide World of Sports Complex, certified sports trainers. And then also during our trip, we'll be taking a day to visit the University of Central Florida, where we'll do a campus tour. We'll meet with the admissions counselors, and we'll also have exposed our athletes to the track team. They'll have the opportunity to meet with the track coaches and also current track members of the University of Central Florida while we're there. In addition, which is an added bonus, our kids will also have the opportunity to explore 3 of the Disney theme parks while we're down in Florida.
So basically the experience that we're trying to present to them is experience outside of Ohio in general. A lot of kids from this area don't get an opportunity to get out of Ohio at all. So it's important for them to see another university. This is a Division I university, and a lot of them do want to compete at the next level. So I think it's important to interact with different coaches and kind of see like what the coaches are looking for from their athletes, and talk to student athletes and find out, you know, what their everyday schedule is like and how it's like to go through that. Also, we'll be working on like independent living skills with them. We'll be giving them an allotment of money that they'll use per day to kind of help them, you know, budget throughout the day. You know, do you have this money to be able to make it? And that's a skill that, you know, they need to know in the real world. We'll also be working on soft skills.
To kind of further reiterate what Coach Rice just said, when I was a student here at Harvey, we actually took this trip to Florida for every year that I participated in track. And as a coach here, I've been coaching for 13 years, it's one of the most memorable experiences that I've taken from high school, is the opportunity that we had to go down to Florida to bond with not only our classmates, our coaches. We were exposed to the University of Florida. That was our experience there, not Central Florida, University of Florida. We had some football team practice. So those, as an adult now, I just felt that it was one of the most memorable things for me, and it's something that I'd like to pass along to the athletes that we're currently coaching here at Harvey. We feel that this trip can benefit the district in many ways. Obviously, we stated that it's going to provide opportunities for so many kids that they may not be able to afford. Their family may not be able to afford for an entire family to go. It's positive exposure for the district. Obviously, it's positive for our track team. It improves student engagement. We also can use it as a positive recruiting tool for track. This year, our numbers were a little bit higher than it had been in the last few years, and we're looking to continue to grow upon those numbers. And you know, we're aware that the kids in this school like to be a part of things that are positive. They also like to be a part of activities that, you know, broaden their horizons. And you know, those clubs or organizations that do those things, they have the largest participation in the school. And we're no different. We just want the same opportunity for our kids to grow our program. Like we said previously, they'll have the opportunity to practice at a world-class facility. You know, that in itself speaks volume. You know, especially for the kids that would like to go and participate in track at the next level. The last time I spoke with Merritt Island and Mr. Raymer and the track coach down there, they're actually looking to put together a 10-team meet for us. So it wouldn't just be a dual meet. They're actually looking to put together an invitational and make this like the best experience we can possibly have when we're down there. So we're pretty excited about that. The Speed and Agility Clinic, like we mentioned before, and also the tour to Central Florida.
So we're looking at roughly like 48 students to come on this trip with us. It'll be chaperoned by obviously Coach Coleman and myself. We have our assistants on board, Coach Brianna Jones, Coach Jeremy Akery, Coach Rashawn Austin, and then we have a couple of the staff members who work full-time within the district, Heather Weber and Roger Coffey. And then we have a parent, Melissa Collins, the mother of one of our athletes who will come with us. We're looking at, I think our next,
the trip will take place next year during spring break. Our anticipated departure will be March 15th of next year, and we will return back to Painesville on March 22nd. The trip will be 7 days. It will not, the kids will not miss any school during that time. There will be no schoolwork. That will be any issues there. The 7 days allows us to give them the full experience. You know, we're going down there to train. We're going down there to get better as a track team, and we're going down there to grow. And you know, for us to go down there for 2 days, 3 days, just to me isn't suffice. You know, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it the right way, and that's going down there to train for 2 practices a day. As most of you aware, it's still cold here today on May 13th, and it's gonna be cold next year in March. And we don't get the opportunity to utilize as much practice time as we would like to during the cold weather months. So, you know, we, like other schools, we just like to take advantage of those opportunities. Also, Disney offers a youth education series. So if there's any athletes that would like to, you know, learn about the medical field or any other field, they actually have staff on board that will give, you know, kids insight to what it's like to, you know, possibly be a student athlete at the collegiate level. They tie in very nicely with college programs.
Yeah, so we'll be staying at the we're staying at the Disney Caribbean Beach Resort in Buena Vista, Florida. And then we talked about our touring of the Central Florida and where our the sports facility is. Yeah, we have our.
We submitted a safety plan to the board for you all to review. It's just to make sure that, you know, we covered our bases if there are any type of emergency situations that would come about. In regards to transportation, like Coach Wright said, we will be taking the 56-passenger charter bus. We received several quotes from different companies locally. The one that we decided on would be Precious Cargo. It just made the most sense economically for us. Initially, we wanted to take 2 buses, but we just felt that with the time frame of the trip coming up and unexpected numbers, it just would make sense financially just to go with the 1 bus for the first year and limit the amount of students. You know, it's just it has to be on the first come, first serve. You know, whoever's able to solidify their deposit for the trip would be the ones that would be on the bus. Obviously, one of the most important parts comes down to finances. If any of you ever been to Disney or taken your kids there, I have. I've been there 14 times. I've taken my kids several times. It's very expensive, and it costs more than $1,000. But through fundraising and the package deal that Disney was able to put together for us to stay at the resort and train at the facility, we were able to get it down for meals and lodging, and also the theme park tickets for $1,000 an athlete. So all we're asking the parents to do would be to cover the cost of $600 per student through our fundraising efforts, as well as private donations. $400 per athlete would be covered on our end. Coach Austin and myself are business owners, and we've already made the sacrifice to make a sizable donation to make this project go forward. So we don't foresee there being too many issues financially. You know, we do have plans in place to make sure that every kid that would like to go has the opportunity. Listed to the right, there are a lot of fundraisers there. We're not going to utilize all of those. If we don't have to, we won't. The 4 in particular that we would like to use would be the Game Show Guys fundraiser. If any of you know Ryan Gilbertson, who's very instrumental in our community, he works for a company, and they put these fundraisers on every weekend throughout Northeast Ohio. After speaking with him, on average, every fundraiser raises between $5,000 to $8,000 per event, and that's in one evening. He said the lowest he's ever seen was 5, the most is 15. So, you know, with the support, the networks that we have as coaches, and, you know, the support of the community, we feel that we would be able to raise that same amount of money. Car washes, we were going to do Scratch and Hope fundraiser, and then a Lucky Calendar fundraiser as well.
So during this trip, we'll be able to communicate with the parents. We'll have host meetings before the trip, but a couple meetings before that we have. Set up dates for our first meeting is sometime in June, middle of June. And then we'll be communicating throughout the trip with final forms, emails, letters, texting, Remind 101. We're big on social media use, posting pictures and all
appreciate your time.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Comments first. One, thank you for being here this evening, and this proposal that you have given us is much more inclusive than the initial one. We appreciate you taking the time to come here tonight and to include quite a few of the suggestions that we had made at the April 8th and the April 29th meetings. At the April 8th meeting, when we tabled it, it was with the understanding that we had to vote on it at this meeting, and according to Robert's Rules of Order. At the April 29th meeting, we had a discussion, and that's when we went into a lot of the details, et cetera. In between, Dr. Engelhardt and I met, and Ms. Rice, you met also with Dr. Engelhardt, and I talked to legal counsel because I called them so that if the proposal tonight did not include everything that we require as a district, if we vote no, what happens? And he said the coaches can then submit it at the June, what's the date? At the next meeting in June, and we could approve it at that point. So it doesn't mean if everything isn't included tonight that it's done, because it's not. So the changes, June 10th. So the changes that you have made, which we requested, were it is much, much, much more structured. You have dates, you have times, you have places that you're meeting, you have meeting at Merritt Island with Jimmy Raymer, a Harvey grad. You did not have a transportation group last time, and that does have to include the liability then through them, the $5 million. Okay. You do have the thing with Merritt Island. You were previously taking 2 bus loads, and we said it would have to be 1 bus load. And you said once every 4 years. And the account has to be set up through Painesville City Schools. So those are all good to go. We did make a recommendation at the last meeting to stay at a place that is less expensive, that includes breakfast, because I believe this was $208 a night. And also that you not stay on Disney property, because it was discussed at the last meeting that if you stay on Disney property, that kids have easy access to just run back to their rooms, which other field trips in the district have found out that's not a good thing, that it's better if you're off the property, and students have to be transported to the facility, and you understand what we're saying and why?
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
You know, from a financial standpoint, it is more feasible for us, because this is a package deal through Disney, for us to stay at the park, and the training costs are a lot less when you obviously stay on their resort.
Did I hear you say earlier that the meals were included in the cost?
Correct. So we actually have a structured meal plan, and that should be in one of the documents that you receive as well. And that includes the meals,
It's down under Parker Superintendent.
which if we did not stay on that resort, you know, we wouldn't, the meals wouldn't be covered through that meal plan.
So, Mr. Coleman, it includes 3 meals a day for the kids?
Correct.
For teenagers?
Yes, it does. I'm very
They're
good
losing
at
money.
research.
Okay.
Disney doesn't lose money.
We also, the precedent has been that the students have gone on a field trip for no more than 5 days, and I know you really want to do the 7, but legal counsel also recommended a 5-day.
Okay.
Can I ask
You know,
why?
That
Well-
was gonna be my,
His reason was because of structure, because there really wasn't structure in the initial proposal. I don't know if that would change now that you have a lot of structure in this one.
the initial proposal is not the one that you actually were supposed to receive.
Okay.
And will say that the proposal was a working proposal before we were able to completely finish it. I don't feel personally that just because other organizations within our school district have limited their programs, their trips out of state to 5 days, we should have to do the same. We're going down to train, at a world-class facility and, train for a couple of days, run a track meet, digress it, go through, what happened at the track meet, still have another couple of days to train. So when we come back here to Ohio, we're ready to go because our season is the shortest season of all sports. And I just feel that if we utilize as much time as we're financially able to, we will come back a better track program. If there is something in the bylaws that says that the trips have to be limited to 5 days, by all means, we will restructure. But we would like to go with 7 if all possible because we're not missing any school days, and it does not take up an entire spring break.
And if we shorten it down to a couple of days, we'll miss 2 whole days pretty much for travel. So
I
we'll
do
take
not
that
believe there's a limit in the bylaws.
Real quick though, just, you mentioned it, brought up question of OSHA coaching training requirements. Is this within the period that you're allowed to actually
Yes.
coach and train?
Track
Okay.
season starts the first Monday. Outdoor season starts the first Monday of March.
Okay.
So the period that we will be down there, we're actually already allowed to participate in meets here in Ohio.
Okay.
We've already spoken with the athletic director. He's going to work with the athletic director at Merritt Island to make sure all the OSHA laws are covered as far as competitions.
Sure. Great.
Coach Coleman, what's going to happen, we're going to be able to take 48 kids. What's going to happen with the other kids who are staying here?
The other kids that are staying here would have the time off during that period of time. I've spoken to other track coaches within my network of people that I deal with, some that have taken trips like this, and I've asked, what do you do with those kids? And it's no different than, if there wasn't a trip. Sometimes you don't utilize the whole spring break. Some people don't utilize the whole spring break.
So you don't have a plan to kind of maybe have a coach available for them or
Our plan is to make sure all of our coaches are on this trip.
Okay.
We will leave the athletes that will be here, that will choose not to go on a trip. We will leave them with a training regimen that will allow them to at least stay, pretty up to shape with the other students that we know before.
But it's also not uncommon for track teams to take the whole week off and not work out at all during spring break.
Track's a different sport. In our sport, rest is more important than anything. Having 2 days off, 3 days off sometimes actually serves more of a benefit than it does in practice and everything, just because of how taxing the events are on the body.
And I guess the other question I have is related to because of the concern and the suggestion, which is, I buy into the suggestion to not have them stay on site because of wanting to come back. So what policies can you think of that you could put into place that, so that we don't have to worry?
Right. And we're still working on 100% what we want our behavior plan to be when we're down the floor. We have experience. Well, me personally, my athletes have been to the state track meet every year I've coached it. So I've taken students. Obviously, it's not out of state, but we've been out of town. I haven't had any issues in coaching 13 years here. It comes down to a trust factor and how much you respect your coach, and that's what it all boils down to. Whether we're on site on Disney or we're off site, there's opportunities for a child to leave with today's technology. You can Uber or ride somewhere if you really want to. So at the end of the day, we have to trust them. They have to trust us, and I just think the whole experience is better if they stay on the resort. I mean, isn't that part of going to Disney?
And I understand, but I guess what I'm looking for is what are some of the accountabilities that they're communicated to them if they fail to live up to the expectation.
Right, and one of the things that I wanted to we're looking into is, and I can take this, when we were in school here, I remember a coach had a policy where there was a means of transportation for you to go home. If you broke any of our rules, and trust me, that is going to be one, because I'm not going to be embarrassed. We worked too hard on this and to make this happen. So if it is possible, we're going to make sure that anyone that doesn't abide by our expectations will be sent back to Ohio.
Well, there's the phrase pretty commonly known today as trust but verify.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too.
So, I mean, you know, there's, and I agree with you completely that they've got to show you the trust and respect of all the whole staff and themselves in the district, but as the adults in charge, we've got to make sure that there's no easy way for someone to make a bad decision and do something they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
Which is why I mean, if you look at our itinerary, we structured it down to a half an hour. I mean, they are going to be busy. They're going to be in our watch the entire time we're in Florida.
Great.
So it's my understanding from the last meeting that you all would break up into groups in the park, right? And there would be a coach or a chaperone assigned to that group. Is that still the plan?
Yes.
We have 6, 7, 8, 9 people coming, so.
And that suggestion came from Coach Austin. One of our coaches who is also a parent, and he just recently chaperoned a school trip to New York. And so he liked the idea of having a adult responsible for a group of kids. There's some check-in times throughout the day. If the whole group wasn't together, we wouldn't model our time down there, especially in the parks and San.
I just have one further question. So you said this stay at the Caribbean Beach Resort includes all the meals?
Correct.
Okay. So do you still need $3,400 from the Booster Club for breakfast?
$3,400 is going towards the overall cost of the trip. And we have letters from the email from the treasurer of the Booster Club today. I can read it if you'd like me to. The Booster Club the Booster Club did have our initial budget meeting for the next school year, and we had the opportunity to review your request for actually $3,600 in food expenses for your proposed Florida trip. We don't approve our official budget until our June meeting, but there does seem to be a consensus by the Booster board to approve those funds once you get approval from the board. We have, over the last few years, approved funds for the boys basketball trip and boys baseball team trips this year. Although this email is not to be considered an approval for those funds, I can tell you that the boosters were very interested in helping fund your trip. So we have the support of the boosters. We have the support of local business people in my network, as well as Coach Austin, that are not affiliated with Painesville City to help fund this trip.
Okay, and when did the band go to Florida last? Was it 18? Was it last year?
They went
It was last year, yes.
yeah, they went to Florida last year.
Okay.
So this would put them 2 years off,
Right,
which is pretty
so that would be
ideal.
perfect.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
ideal. Okay,
Any other questions or comments?
but thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Okay, our next item is 3.1, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of April 8th. Do we have a motion, please?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Okay.
Dr. Humphries,
Yes.
Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Mr. Webster,
Yes.
Ms. Parazoni.
Yes. Item 3.2, we need approval of we need a motion for approval of the minutes of the special meeting of April 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments here? Mrs. Samak?
Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Mr. Webster,
Yes.
Dr. Humphries,
Yes.
Ms. Parazoni.
Yes. Dr. Engelhardt?
Okay, we do have a couple of student recognition programs tonight, and for the first one, I'll ask Chris Young, our Director of Student Services, to present.
Okay, thank you for letting me present tonight. I wanted to present on, every year we have, throughout Lake and Geauga counties, we have a student that receives an award for being an outstanding student. But we wanted to take this time to honor students within the district that were nominated for this award. through the Student Services Department. So each year, we send out to all of our intervention specialists requesting nominations for outstanding students that have displayed quality and characteristics that are that we want to recognize. So my first student this year is a student from Elm Street Elementary, and it's TJ Ingram. And I'm TJ was not aware that he was a student. So while he comes out, I'm just going to read what his teachers and staff at Elm Street say about him. So TJ was nominated for this award because he's shown great progress both in his academics and as well as his behavior. TJ started the year in a smaller specialized class getting support. And throughout the year, he's now spent most of his academic day with his 3rd grade class. And next year for 4th grade, he will be with his 4th grade peers. TJ has great attendance. He earns 3s and 4s for his Pride report card. Every day, TJ is committed to work hard and persevere through his struggles. He's been a peer role model for all students. TJ's a very caring person. He always makes sure everyone else is happy by going out of his way to either make a card or make them feel welcome and included. I also want to note that TJ, is this all your family and your friends that are here? So I'm not going to have no cupcakes. I see your staff is here, so Ms. Kudos and Ms. Heiss and Ms. Rossman and Ms. Link. So we want to congratulate you for that. So thank you. The next student that we want to honor is Nikia Howard from Harvey High School. And this is what Nikia's staff says about her. Nikia is an 11th grade student at Harvey High School who exemplifies the meaning of Red Raider pride. In the past 3 years at Harvey, Nikia has matured into a bright and determined young woman. Nikia lightens each day with her wit and her encouragement, both of staff and of peers. Nikia goes above and beyond by practicing skills taught in the classroom, at her home, and in the community. She is never shy to question why or how, and she refuses to give up. Nikia works incredibly hard to see a task through to the end. She uses effective goal setting to refine her strengths and improve on her weaknesses. Nikia is her own best advocate as she knows what she needs and how she learns best. Nikia's work ethic has been recognized by many supervisors in the community, and she's been offered employment opportunities because of it. Nikia amazes us each day, and it is truly a privilege to have her in class. In the future, Nikia plans to attend culinary school and take art classes in the community. And I want to note that Nikia's mom always challenges her daughter to do her best. She supports her in all of her goals for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Young, and congratulations. Those are great stories, and we love to highlight some of our exceptional students whenever we have the opportunity. And we do have another opportunity to do that tonight. We do have WOW Award winners. So Mrs. Camper, our curriculum director, will present.
Good evening, everyone. We had, this particular month, we had several WOW Award winners. You can kind of tell it was the end of the year. And kids were doing their best work, and lots of teachers submitted things. So if you haven't had a chance, all of the award winners this week that we will recognize some here tonight, all their pieces are available on the district website. So tonight we have with us, I believe, Mauricio. Come on down. We have Edie, come on down, and we have Heather. In addition, this week we also had Veronica that was recognized and Ariana. Now, are one of them here and I missed it? I don't think so. there's a lot of people to talk to tonight. Okay, so we're gonna let Mauricio go first, is that okay? Do you wanna go first? No, you wanna let the girls go first? Okay, we'll let the girls go first. I'm gonna move into the bottom of the pile. Okay, you gotta stay up here though with us. Okay, so the first WOW writer we'd like to talk about tonight is Edie. And Edie's teacher, Miss Amanda Rosenthal, submitted her writing because she went above and beyond in her research about sea turtles, and she added extra text features and ways to help turtles. She created a great book of research for her animal. Come on up.
Hawksbill sea turtles are very interesting. Hawksbill sea turtles are very unique creatures. Hawksbill sea turtles are my favorite marine animals and animal in general. What hawksbill sea turtles look like. Hawksbill sea turtles have their own look. They are turquoise, brown, and white. They have a special shell that is spiky. They are 100 to 150 pounds and 25 to 35 inches. Their heads look like a hawk beak. Are hawksbill sea turtles extinct? Hawksbill sea turtles are soon going to be completely extinct. 90% of hawksbill sea turtles are extinct. 80% of hawksbill sea turtles have been extinct in the last 10 years. 10% of hawksbill sea turtles are still alive. In 1996, hawksbill sea turtles were classified as critically endangered. Hawksbill sea turtles are ESA endangered. We all need to help hawksbill sea turtles.
Thank you very much. All right, and next we have Heather, right? This is Heather. Heather's teacher, who's also Miss Amanda Rosenthal, submitted her writing because she wrote a great research project about chameleons. She added text features like pictures and a table of contents. She continuously improves her writing and goes above and beyond what is asked for. So now we're going to learn a little bit about chameleons. You ready?
Chameleons. What does it look like? Chameleons are a color-changing animal. Chameleons can be many different colors because of their adaptation. They can be green, brown, black, red, and tan as their natural skin, but can turn the other color as well. They are scaly like other types of lizards. Their face parts of body are very interesting. Its eyelids connect, and its tongue can be as long as its own body. They also have 5 toes on each foot. Some of them are even fused together. Their tail is also curved that it cannot be disconnected since they have a very delicate body. How do they behave? They do many things that other lizards that the chameleon is related to cannot do. Chameleons are lazy. They are also durandal. They are sleeping in the night and they are awake in the day. They even bask in the sun since they are cold-blooded. Chameleons spend most of their time in trees and in bushes. When their prey is close, it will take out its tongue and snatch their prey and eat it.
Thank you very much, Heather. It's just us. You ready? All right, I'm going to read what your teacher said about you. Your teacher said that she submitted your essay, Mauricio, because your response reflected maturity of thought, and it is evident that you gave careful thought to your answers. Okay, so I believe that Mauricio had to talk about whether or not he wanted to live on a farm. Okay, ready? Do you want me to read it? Okay, he wants me to read it. Is that okay? Okay, all right. I would like to live on a farm because I can ride a horse. I don't want to live on a farm because you have to milk the cows. If I could be a horse, I would jump over the fence and I would drink water. Then I would let people ride me. Good job, that was really good. Turn that way around.
Mrs. Camper,
Yes.
on a given month, how many of these essays do you get to choose from?
It's it's ebb and flows throughout as the year goes on. I believe we get around 10 to 12
Okay.
every month, and then
Okay.
we try to always vote and kind of identify which ones, but then sometimes they're just so good, we have to pick a lot, and this was a moment where we had a lot this month. They're too good.
Thank you.
Great job.
Okay, item 5.1, our next regular meeting will be June 10th. And then our next item is the treasurer's consent agenda, and we need a motion. Oh, no, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any discussion here?
No, you can just go through the items.
Is the same?
Okay. The first item under the consent agenda, excuse me, are donations that were presented to the district. A lot of them are for the one student that is qualified for a competition out in Texas for the Educator Rising. 6.2 is the 5-year forecast. I just want to note that from Friday, at the end of the day, when I sent the forecast home, the budget bill has changed over the weekend. It's moving through, and it made it through the House, and now it's under the Senate. And so the budget bill for the second year of the budget bill has increased our funding by $166,000 a year. So this morning I reflected that change in the forecast. So our deficit in year 5 is not as large as it was on Friday when it initially was attached to the agenda. So this is exactly where it stands as of today. Until the governor signs the budget bill, it could change again. But this is where we are. We have one more year of our current contract with the union. So this time next year we'll probably be in negotiations moving forward. Some of the big pieces that I'd like to point out is that after the teachers are getting 1% on the base, well, everybody's getting 1% on the base. From that point on in the forecast, there's no percentage on the base because it's up to negotiations. But the increase in the salaries they usually increase by about 2%, and that's just on step movement alone. I forecast my healthcare rates to go up by about 10%. Last year it was 9, next year will be 8. I always try to caution and go higher just to be on the safe side. We've kind of talked to transportation and kind of looked at our busing fleet, and we're going to do a bus every other year, and then on our off years we'll do a van. And those are the main highlights of it. There are some changes that are coming through the consortium about our health care plans, so that will might have an impact of decreasing our benefits moving forward, but that's still kind of a work in progress. So we came into the year with having over $5.5 million. And so I kind of like that's a reserve or savings, however you want to refer to it as. We are dipping into that every year in the forecast, so we are spending above our revenue coming in. But like I said, we had over $5.5 million going into this year. And I always like to point out that the majority of our revenue comes from the state, and the budget bill is every 2 years, and we are required to do a 5-year forecast. So do the math. So that's kind of the forecast in a nutshell. It's still for this fiscal year, so we only have about a month and a half left of this fiscal year, but I'm required by ODE to submit it in October and again in May. So this is basically updating it from the fall, and I was able to incorporate the draft budget bill into this proposal also. questions?
Well, I've got some comments, but if you want to go through the rest of the agenda for, if there's anything else.
Sure. So 6.3 is a transfer. It is basically just, really, we're just correcting an error. We kind of had new advisors in some, the class advisor, which basically is in charge for homecoming and prom, they are new in their role and just were kind of using the wrong numbers. So this is to kind of correct a year's worth of using the wrong account numbers. So it was just basically a little lack of communication with changing of the guards, I could say. So this will transfer that, and it will bring the student council back to where it needs to be, and the class advisor accounts where it needs to be. But I can't just move money between, so it has to come from the board to do a transfer. And then 6.4 is the administrative salary schedule for 1920, along with the exempt salary schedule for 1920. There were a few changes within. I think they've been kind of talked about in previous communications to you. And that is everything on my consent agenda. So questions on anything?
Well, got a couple comments for the board. We had our finance and operations meeting before this meeting, and we spent most of the time talking about the 5-year forecast and various things, and didn't talk very much about the operational stuff we were supposed to. But you know, the fact that we are showing deficit spending this current year and all 4 remaining years of the 5-year forecast is something that caught our attention, and Ms. Samak agreed to put together a spreadsheet that kind of explains what's driving those costs. So hopefully we'll have that by the end of the week and be able to look at it and have a little more context for these numbers. I think one of the struggles for me is really because the way we account for money is understandable, and it's very defined, but it's hard to read into these spreadsheets what's driving those costs. And you know, after our ODE interviews this week, you know, one of their big things was talking to us about, you know, how do you oversee the effectiveness of the spending and this and that and the other. So we're going to need to be talking a little bit more about that as well. But yeah, so hopefully keep notice of your email to make sure that you get the spreadsheet talking a little bit more about the spending. If anybody else has any questions.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
Mrs. Seaman?
Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Dr. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes.
Ms. Parastoni?
Yes. Item 7, the treasurer's non-action items.
7.1 through 7.5 are the monthly reports for the month of April. I think everything looked okay. The revenue and expenditure report is supposed to be fixed by next month. I got communications from the SSAT team that is on their radar and will be fixed. They promised me by next month.
Questions or comments?
No.
Okay, moving on to the superintendent's consent agenda. We need a motion here, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, 8.1 is disposals. 8.2 is a curriculum purchase for Harvey English Language Arts. 8.3 is an agreement for participation in the PBIS Early Childhood Project. 8.4 is an agreement with Re-Ed Services. 8.5 is a service agreement with the ESC. 8.6 is a service agreement with LEAF.
Okay. Discussion or questions? So this ELA purchase is for grades 9 through 12, or grades, or Spanish 1 through 4, native as well as,
Ms.
do we
Camper?
know?
This
you
is the
able
tier
to-
1 core curriculum of all the language arts courses for the high school. So
Okay.
that would be ELA 1 through 4.
Okay,
And we bought the additional ELD for components to support the tier 1 program. And it's current kind of resource. There's not like a stack of student, like old school textbooks anymore.
Right.
It's an interactive student consumable workbook that comes in 2 volumes for every grade level. And that price includes all student consumable workbooks for the duration of the contract.
okay.
In addition to complete all the online resources, everything.
Thank you.
Is this utilized by all students in our district, or is this,
This says grades 9 through 12, correct?
It's
Right.
core curriculum.
it's core curriculum
Yes.
for everybody,
For
right?
English language arts, yes, for
Got it.
everybody.
I had a question about LEAF.
Mhm.
What services does LEAF provide beyond the high school counselor? I'm going down this list and
Yeah, it's really what we're getting there is significant expansion of capacity. You know, I believe where we are is in order for our 2 counselors to meet those needs of all students, it takes some more manpower. And that's their specific expertise as opposed to, the whole gamut of counseling as well.
And they make sure that they meet with every single senior a minimum of 1 time, but many students meet with them multiple times. And then they do presentations to juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. I mean, you know, so they're
And
really.
families.
And
Yeah,
families. And they also work at the Leaf Resource Center, and they do workshops there, and so it's a valuable service. Any other questions or comments? Mrs. Seaman?
Dr. Humphries,
yes.
Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Mr. Webster,
Yes.
Ms. Farrell-Dolny.
Yes.
Okay, item 8.8 is the out-of-state field trip proposal for track.
Move that we approve the proposal as amended.
Second.
Any other questions or comments?
No, but once again, thank you for all your diligent work and trying to get the questions answered for us. It was really, really helpful. Our understanding is so much better now than compared to where we were when we entered into this. We didn't have a very clear picture, so, and we hope that if we have additional suggestions or if things, can occur, then, but I think we appreciate you listening to our concerns and taking them seriously and making changes.
Sure, and just the resources you have at hand with the other groups that have taken these kind of trips, certainly take advantage of that.
Yeah, collaboration. It's a big skill to.
Coach Coleman and Coach Rice, your proposal did not have precious cargo listed, so Mrs. Samac is gonna put that in the notes to add that to your proposal.
Okay.
So that you know, that will have been part of our discussion.
We just received recently the most
That's fine,
recent proposals, quotes.
that's fine. Okay. Mrs. Seaman?
Okay. Mr. Tackett?
Yes.
Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Dr. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Powers Dolly?
Yes. Okay, moving on to item 9, personnel, Dr. Engelhardt.
You need a motion.
Oh, we need a motion?
Move to accept the items as presented.
Second?
Okay, 9.1 is retirement and termination. 9.2 is employment. 9.3 is change of assignment. 9.4 is employment for summer school. 9.5 is leaves. 9.6 is stipends. 9.7 is administrative contract renewal and salaries. 9.8 is exempt staff salary correction. 9.9 is non-renewal of staff. 9.10 is salary column change. 9.11 is renewal of certified contract and the setting of salaries. 9.12 is new and renewal of continuing and probationary contracts and setting of the salaries for classified staff. 9.13 is rate of pay for seasonal landscaping. 9.14 is certified substitutes. 9.15 is classified substitutes. 9.16 is supplemental and pupil activity contracts. And that's it.
Okay. Discussion on these items? Nine point 13, Mr. Bell, if I may ask you a question. I don't think we've had seasonal landscapers before. Is that a new?
We always hire summer help to help for the
Okay.
outdoors. As far as I know, is that correct, Terry?
Yes.
So this is just, they were being paid $9 an hour. Last year I had a very difficult time getting people that had the skills. This year I have a good crew, so I'd like to keep them interested all summer. It's hard work too.
The grounds they look amazing, really.
Much better.
I mean, there have been years when people are scrambling right before graduation to make the property look good, especially at the high school, and that's not the issue. So thank you for whatever you've done.
1 year at a time.
No, really, it's really made a difference. So do you have different individuals working at the different schools?
No, I just have 2 guys. Tiger, who's transferred from the high school to,
Okay,
and then I have his name is Raphael. He's Rosa and George Young.
okay,
He's related to both of them,
okay,
but he has 25 years of landscaping experience.
okay,
But he'd like to get into the district as well, so
okay.
he's willing to.
So he's doing one building at a time?
Yeah, they pretty much go 1 building at a time.
Okay,
But when it rains and things, or they can't mow, they'll work on trimming bushes and mulching.
okay.
So, yeah, it shows though.
It definitely shows.
Speaking of appearances, could you check on, I don't know if this is appropriate in the meeting, but it's driving me crazy, the tennis net laying on the tennis court that's out there. I think that if we put that away, it might be something we could use again, but if it lays out there like it's been for the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's,
Okay.
you know what I mean? The post is down.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we've got that on the bill to
I didn't
fix.
realize the tennis net was still attached to it, and
Yeah.
the post was down.
It doesn't look good, and it's, you know, probably a couple $100 for a
Yeah.
tennis net.
I'll
Which-
find out who can.
So while Mr. Webster's picking on you, can I pick on you again?
Of course.
There are several tiles that are missing outside of this entrance,
The pavers,
which,
Actually,
be a-
they're worn. I think
There's a
what they
few-
are is
they're-
they're chipped out.
yeah. They've spalled and
Yeah.
you know,
Eroded.
I know it's hard to repair them in this constant
It is.
rain, but,
I have them set to be repaired before graduation,
okay, please.
and then this summer we have, I actually was talking to the contractor today about getting some quotations on repairing it. I have a couple now on actually just redoing the whole
Okay.
ticket
sidewalk there, but it's really expensive.
Yeah.
So do we not have the ability to replace individual ones? I'm just concerned somebody's gonna catch a heel or something.
Yeah, that's
Coming
what,
into
I'm gonna have
graduation.
that done before
Okay.
graduation.
Okay,
Yeah, we're gonna repair
Okay.
pieces of it.
okay.
But I think we need to look into replacing all of those tiles. So I'm gonna do enough so that it's safe for graduation.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it's a little bit more extensive than I expected to repair it. It's not as simple as just pulling them out and putting them in. They have to pull out sections and then re-level it, and then put it in, and then add.
It seems to be mostly in one area. I mean, they're not like spread out the whole length of the,
I think it'll be safer, but I'm not sure how repaired good it's gonna look. I'm just
Okay.
trying it. We'll see how it
okay,
looks.
thank you.
Well, there's definitely gonna be a noticeable difference. You know, the ones that get put in will look brand new or look very new, the others are gonna be quite faded in comparison. But yeah, it is a more involved process where you can't just pluck and replace, so. But it's better to be done than not done, so
That's right. Yeah.
thank you.
Think about it.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, it's all the picking I can do.
Okay, Mr. Webster,
Yes.
Dr. Humphries,
Yes.
Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Ms. Parzoni.
Yes.
Additional item 9.18 is extended time.
Move to approve this item as presented.
Any questions or comments here?
We need a
Second.
second. Yeah, actually, it just, and maybe I missed it in your update on Friday because I haven't read that yet, but what's driving this?
The extended time?
Yeah.
This is every year. The counselors have received extended days every year as far back as I know, largely for scheduling purposes. Finalization of the schedules and getting student schedules made. The curriculum department is just additional curriculum development work that needs to be done outside of whenever the teachers are gone and they're not having to support those folks directly. It's their opportunity to get some of that curriculum work done. The psychologist and the speech pathologist that's tied to additional evaluations that they have to complete.
For preschool.
Yeah.
My only question was, I don't recall curriculum coordinators being on the agenda previous years. Were they? Okay,
It was 10 days. It was
okay.
5 and 5, much like the counselors.
Okay.
Over the years, we've tried to scale it back. They prepare a significant amount of professional development for new teacher orientation, which is outside of their contracted time too, so.
I didn't see it a previous year, so obviously I missed something. Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments? Mrs. Sagan?
Dr. Humphries,
Yes.
Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Mr. Webster,
Yes.
Ms. Parzoni.
Yes.
Before we move on, can I just ask another kind of silly question about that extended time thing? Why do we have people working beyond their contract? I mean, I understand the realities of life, but why don't we adjust contracts to address that?
Yeah. That's
I can speak to preschool, that piece anyway, for kids that transition from Part C, for Help Me Grow, so which is birth to 3, and then transition to preschool. If Help Me Grow makes a transition referral, that starts our kind of timeline. We have to evaluate students within 30 days, and they have to have an IEP by their 3rd birthday. So some years that kind of works out that those timelines match up. Last year it did not, and then this year we received, I think, 3 referrals from Help Me Grow that we have to complete.
Well, I mean, I can understand that, because that's a conditional thing. You could get 1 referral, or you could get 20. I mean, that might, I guess the thing that I'm more concerned about is, like with curriculum, which, you know, are we pushing people too hard, trying to save money for a 3rd person, or, you know, whatever, or are we demanding too much? Are we demanding not enough? Or,
Well,
that's kind of the concern that I have is.
So what we run into is all of these folks are on a 185-day contract because they
Right.
work under the same contract. Even though these positions are quite a bit different from most of the bargaining union, which is teachers, they're still under the same agreement. So they're contracted for the same number of days.
These are bargaining unit positions?
Yeah, they're all bargaining unit members.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I, for whatever reason, thought they were exempt.
So they are constricted, you know, technically in terms of the agreement to those 185 days, regardless of, you know, the 185 days of teacher work is pretty well defined. You know, it's student day equals teacher day. These are positions where the
Right.
work isn't tied directly to a student day. So the management of that work is a little bit different. You know, we have pushed the supervisors to do as much shifting of the calendar and saving days and switching days as much as possible. There's, as Mrs. Camper indicated, there's been some movement in that direction already. We have moved these extended days, part of the financial burden we've moved into the supervisors' budgets, so they have to actively manage it, and they have to take some responsibility for managing it from that standpoint. But still, where we are is I've given the supervisors the leeway to manage it, and they've still at this point indicated that they need some extra time out of those folks.
Thank you.
Okay, item 10, professional visits.
We still need to vote on that, don't we? Oh, no, we did already,
We did.
sorry.
We need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
10.1 is professional visits taken from general fund, and 10.2 is professional visits out of grant funds.
What is TransFinder changing? It's expensive.
TransFinder is the software for our route mapping and bus route management, bus route mapping. And it is a new system to us.
Okay. So there's kind of a one-time cost involved in.
I would say that at this level, would that be accurate, Sean?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It's like 4 days of extensive training.
Got it. She can come back and train you in case she decides to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more beneficial to her than me.
Okay. All right, thank you. No other questions?
So this means that we will have an AP biology next year?
We have AP biology every year.
That's what I thought.
We've had it the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That's
All
what
right,
I
this
thought.
is- this
So
will
this
be
is
the
just
third
an
year.
update
Yeah.
for
Well,
his training.
The teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to improve it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know, because my son had AP
Right. Yeah.
bio the first year, and my daughter's taking it next year, so.
Okay.
Yeah, Sam had it last year.
I thought
Mr.
we had
Green,
had it,
yeah.
and then I thought,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, just the
Every teacher
level of-
doesn't go, you know, do they go periodically?
They've gone periodically.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just, it's a whole different level of rigor.
Okay.
And, you know, you're kind of the only person who teaches it, so it's
Right.
really important to go
And it's
out.
it's
Well,
a
it's-
national curriculum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and it's a very intense curriculum. I mean, I remember talking with Mr. Green and my daughter when she was in the class. It's just like, you know, they fly through stuff, and how to be able to present that effectively and, you know, in solid ways is
A
important.
challenge.
That is a component that I have a concern about that I don't know, again, if this is the appropriate time, but that in our AP Bio and AP Chemistry, particularly classes, I know that other school systems are allotting two hours of instruction for that time. You know, it's a double class period to get through the material. And my son, you know, Miss Dunnigan, despite her very best efforts, they didn't get through better than 70% of the material for AP Chem. So it's difficult. That's something that I think we need to take a closer look at going forward, is to make sure that.
I know Mr. Green last year was free to admit that he struggled to get through all the material in a way that was useful.
Back in the day, it used to be with what was considered lab sciences, we did a period and a half, which meant that it was a full period every day, and then like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, kids were in there for a double period, and then Tuesday, Thursday, or vice versa, was phys ed all year long instead of a semester. We also used to alternate AP Chem one year, AP Physics the next year, so that if students wanted both, they could get both, knowing that they would get it on the alternate year.
Yeah.
So
Did they get double periods then, or it was
they
just
had
period
double
and a half?
periods 2 days a week or 3 days a week, yes. But it used to be required that you had to have that much time.
Yeah. What was the success?
Well, it wasn't AP at that point. It was the regular,
on
yes, it was the regular, science, honors, labs.
Well, I think that's certainly something to look into. You can get creative like Ms. Dolan was talking about, with playing around if you have to, but anything to help them, and we spent a lot of money on AP tests this year to provide them for free so people would take them. And just taking them isn't of much use if they don't get the credit for it.
It does create a little bit of a scheduling headache, though.
Sure.
If it's a period and a half, and then those students are doing gym, either 2 days a week all year or 3 days a week all year, instead of doing it concisely 5 periods or 5 days a week, one semester, and being done with it. But if it helps with the science curriculum.
It's all right. They're burning so much energy with their brains that they need to get something in their muscles going.
And there are other options now, like, it
If
might
you're
be.
in marching band or a sport.
You might be able to take a CCP credit online or something like that with that other time, so there's
Yeah.
certainly some things.
Maybe you could do that. I know other school systems are are kind of getting this in, so if we can look at some of what they do too.
Okay, so we need a vote here, Mrs. Seaman?
Yep. Mr. Tackett?
Yes.
Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Dr. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Powers Dolny?
Yes. Item 11.1, guidelines for public participation, hearing of the public. Did we have anybody sign up again, Dr. Humphries?
No, there are no additional.
Thank you. And item 12.1, recognizing positive moments.
Well, I'll start with, some amazing concerts that have been going on the last few weeks. The choir concert here, band concert here, then the honors choir and honors band concert at Morley Hall and at Lake Erie College. They were astounding at how good everyone was at all levels. The music program here is just phenomenal, and the kids are responding. Obviously, it's growing every year, probably too fast because it's getting expensive now, but band at least is. But yeah, it's just, I'm blown away with how well the programs are doing.
And I'd add to that, and there's still one more elementary concert this week, but almost all the elementary shows are done. And they're all exceptional too. And the band, so I've been going to the 5th grade band concert for a while. And I don't know if you've ever been there. It's, they play Hot Cross Buns a couple of times, and, it's everybody, applauds because they're supporting their kids. But this year they actually, first of all, it's a massive group. It was all the 5th graders across the district. It was a massive group of kids, and they played a real piece of music with different parts.
Hot Cross Buns is a real piece of music.
Well, it was legit. It was like the next level at that level, and it is exciting just to see that development all the way up. And you can see that is an aspect of our curriculum, and that is a program that is truly built all the way down through, and you can see it from start to finish. Mm-hmm. It is very exciting.
Well, I think the success, is tied to not only the hard work that the teachers and the students put in, but also some of these side trips that Ms. Rice and Mr. Coleman were talking about that are motivators to get kids involved in stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being great leaders.
I'm sure that is, but yeah, it's the leadership more than anything.
It is the leadership.
Just the way they engage with the kids, and it's not that they're buddy necessarily,
No.
but they do it well, and they're very good at what they do musically or chorally, so that certainly helps.
They have also a lot of parental support.
Absolutely. There was also the Rotary Drama and Musical Awards last week. We had 3 students win a cameo appearance award. Malik Walker and somebody else, and Carlos Sandoval, thank you.
And that middle person, is her last name Tackett?
No, her last name is Engelhardt.
Oh, really?
Miss Annika won as part of that award group, so that was really good.
That's very cool. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. You're kind of smug over there, aren't you?
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, we understand that.
The presentations by our, I can't speak to that. I choose not to speak to the outcome of the awards, but where the awards went. But the presentation for both our drama, our fall drama, and then the spring musical, your daughter and the team was just, their presentation at this event, I didn't see their play, so I can't judge it that way, but their presentation at this event was head and shoulders above what we saw from any other school in the district, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and our drama/comedy from the fall, they got the most laughs out of the audience out of any of the presentations. So
they owned the show.
It really was a good night.
It was surprising in terms of where the brass went, but
so a couple of years ago we won every award.
Yeah.
So we can't complain too much.
I do wonder sometimes they're just trying to be fair, trying to spread the love around, All right, I don't mean to. Is there any Rotarians in the audience?
We did have our senior awards last year,
Oh, yes.
last week, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but a lot of scholarship money was made available to our kids. They worked really hard to get it, and I'll work on getting some of that information posted so it can be widely shared.
Nobody wants to make positive comments about last week's state visit?
Nah.
That was your conversation.
We hope to learn. I'm confident we will.
I'm sure that
Hope to learn.
We can end up taking.
I think all my comments started off with being new to the board. I didn't have much information.
Well, yeah, you've been on here all of 2 months or 3 months.
3 months into the board?
Yeah.
They knew that from the beginning though, right?
I'm tough, though, I'm not intimidated easily.
Yeah, she's tough, she's tough. Yeah, I'm sure that when they're done, they can give us a nugget, or we can find the nugget, or we can find the pearl, or what they have to say, and continue to
Move forward.
do the great work and, support our teachers and coaches and everything in the great work they're doing. What else?
Okay, anything else? Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Mrs. Seaman?
Mr. Webster,
Yes.
Dr. Humphries,
Yes.
Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Ms. Parzoni,
Yes.